Get ready, friends. This is English shorthand legal dictation passage, words per minute. Start. The petitioner, an employee working as driver in the respondent corporation, filed the present writ petition assailing the proceedings dated 24th June 2009, through which the second respondent, regional manager, rejected the petitioner's representation dated 6/4/2009 seeking change of date of birth in service record. The facts in brief are that the petitioner belonging to backward class have studied up to 5th class, applied corporation to be appointed as driver in response to an advertisement notified by respondent corporation in 1991 calling for appointments to the post of drivers in his native region. At the time of applying off post, the petitioner is said to have been submitted the required relevant documents such as residence proof, educational qualifications, date of birth certificate and driving license. It is his contention that in all those documents the date of birth was reflected as 10th May 1964. Later, in course of time, the petitioner requested the clerk of this establishment section in the office of third respondent to issue service certificate for the purpose of enabling the petitioner to secure educational loan for his daughter. As the date of birth in the said certificate issued by establishment section was reflected as 20th March 1956, the petitioner brought to the notice of third respondent about the wrong entry and requested for verification, and the third respondent in response thereto has informed the petitioner that in absence of any credible information about date of birth, it was assessed by a competent medical officer to be 20th March 1956. Having not satisfied with the said response of third respondent, the petitioner submitted application dated 6th April 2009 to the higher authorities seeking their interference and rectification of records reflecting his date of birth as 10th May 1964 instead of 20th March 1956. As no response was forthcoming from the authorities, the petitioner approached this court and filed writ petition number 14556 of 2009, questioning the inaction of respondents in not taking any action to correct his date of birth, lest he should lose 8 years of valuable service without any fault. Pending the disposal of the said writ petition, the respondent corporation what is said to be antedated proceedings with a date of 24th June 2009 but actually received by the petitioner on 27th July 2009, informing the petitioner that his representation could not be considered in terms of circular dated 3rd June 1994. Aggrieved by the rejection of his request to change the date of birth, the petitioner filed the writ petition number assailing the proceedings dated 24th June 2009. Though the pleadings in the writ petition are silent about what has happened to the earlier proceedings, in writ petition number 14556 of 2009, the information portal of the High Court reflects that said writ petition 2 is pending. Ostensibly, since the prayer in the said writ petition could not be sustained any longer in the light of rejection of his representation, the proceedings dated 4th June 2009, subsequent to filing of the writ petition, the petitioner seems to have filed a fresh writ petition, the present writ petition. Sri B. Chandrasekhar, Land Counsel for the petitioner, has strenuously contended that owing to the record of the wrong date of birth, the petitioner faced the grave prospect of losing 8 years of valuable service. The Land Counsel for petitioner has laid much stress on the fact that in 1991 itself, the petitioner has submitted driving license which duly reflected his date of birth. Even all other documents that have to be filed by him have also reflected the correct date of birth, that is 10th May 1964. Elaborating further, the Land Counsel has stated that the authorities ought to have believed the said certificate issued by upper primary school if not any other document in this regard. Land Counsel has stated that when he made representation on 6th April 2009 seeking correction of date of birth, he has annexed relevant documents such as ration card of the district administration which was issued by the revenue authorities, identity card issued by Election Commission of India, as well as driving license issued by RTA authorities. It is the singular contention of Land Counsel that in all those documents The date of birth is invariably been reflected as 10th May 1964, according to Land Council. Despite such alumnus record being available reflecting date of birth correctly, the respondent corporation ought not to have clinged to what was recorded at the earliest point of time at the time of his securing the employment, based on the unilaterally subject to the opinion of the doctor of the corporation. Thank you. Get ready, friends. This is English shorthand legal